Welcome back to Haunted Hollywood. Subscribe now for shocking true crime and bone-chilling supernatural tales from the dark side of Hollywood. On to today's story. Can words take lives? While a king can declare war, a mere declaration is far from lethal. Strong words must be reinforced by strong action, lest they ring hollow. But what about demonic curses? Is the world of the occult bound by the laws of our world? Is it possible to summon an evil entity to cast a dark shroud of pain over some unfortunate soul? Some believe these ghoulish enchantment spells doom for those unlucky to fall victim to an evil curse. Frequently, the more one believes in the occult, the deadlier the malediction. On June 29, 1967, the blonde bombshell's insatiable desire for publicity led her into the twisted web of a man driven by a desire for sex and fame. Overcome by carnal appetites and a sinister longing to possess the talented actress for himself, he cast a jealous curse upon her lover. The dark incantation would have unwanted consequences for the unsuspecting movie star. Vera Jane Palmer was born in the obscure town of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, on April 19, 1933. Fate carved her path towards a life steeped in enigma. At the tender age of 3, a heart attack snatched her father Herbert away in front of his beloved family, a macabre prelude to a life tangled between happiness and tragedy. The horror unfolding in front of little Vera Jane and her mother cast certain trauma on the child, affecting her for life. Vera Jane's mother remarried, and the family moved to Dallas, Texas. Throughout her upbringing, she was obsessed with being in the spotlight and yearned to perform on the stage and receive the adoration of her fans. Marriage became a clandestine affair veiled in secrecy. Paul Mansfield, the silent figure in her early story, whispered promises of love and devotion as she embraced the mantle of wifehood. The union fueled the wagging of small-town tongues. She was only 17 years old at the time. Within the confines of domesticity, a tempest brewed, her soul yearning for the bright lights of Hollywood. In 1953, the world witnessed Vera's rebirth. Like a phoenix from a flame, Jayne Mansfield, the actress, was born. A local production of Death of a Salesman beckoned her into stardom, igniting the smoldering passion within her soul. True Hollywood stardom would come in 1956 in Los Angeles. Jayne Mansfield's tale unfolded like a hauntingly tragic melody. It was a story woven with deceit, ambition, and the searing glare of the spotlight. Paul Mansfield had hoped to snuff out Jane's fervent passion for the stage, but her flame burned bright, a beacon amidst the darkness of their marriage. Rather than lose her altogether, he ventured into the heart of show business by her side. Warner Brothers rang, and Jane answered fame's fickle call. Her journey began with a bit parts as sexy, comedic characters. The roles were shadows of her true self, in a world consumed by repressed sexuality. Soon after, a stage production called Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter sprung Jane to stardom. Wearing nothing but a towel, she cast aside the shackles of inhibition, embracing the role with passion. Then came The Girl Can't Help It, a campy ode to chaos and desire. Jane captivated audiences with her bold sexuality. She carved her place in the annals of Hollywood history, alongside Marilyn Monroe, as the original blonde bombshell that will forever define the role. However, Jane was offered an opportunity to display her brilliance in The Wayward Bus. Jane rose to the task of John Steinbeck's follow-up to The Grapes of Wrath. She was a tempest of passion and despair, offering a glimpse into Jayne's fractured psyche. The applause of the critics turned to roars of acclaim as she claimed the Golden Globe for New Star of the Year for her role in The Girl Can't Help It. Despite the coveted award, in the twilight of 1957, 20th Century Fox extended a contract that would pigeonhole Jayne as a dumb blonde. Jayne remained shackled to her past, while success-spoiled Rock Hunter and The Girl Can't Help It etched her image into the collective consciousness as a character of bold temptation and comic relief. Try as she might, respect remained but a fleeting moment. Jayne had a secret that was kept from the prying eyes of the fans. Unbeknownst to the shallow crowds, Jayne had an IQ of 163, a polyglot, fluent in 5 languages, and a piano and violin virtuoso. Those achievements were downplayed to maintain the gawking admiration for her ample charms. The irony of an intellect rivaling any modern CEO being typecast as a comic relief was a better plot twist than any movie in which she had ever starred. It's easy to imagine that Ms. Mansfield held veiled contempt for her bug-eyed fans. She played the role despite an intelligence that matched Einstein and Stephen Hawking. During the 1950s and 60s, physical beauty was the only option for ambitious young women. This must have been galling for a woman who oftentimes must have been the smartest person in the room. Despite her many fans, she must have burned with loneliness that could only be quenched by more fame and money. In the private recesses of her psyche, Jayne Mansfield the Enigma dwelled. A siren's call drew the curious, the intrigued, and the aroused into her stunning embrace. For behind those eyes lay secrets untold, waiting for a daring soul to unravel their haunting mystery. In the winter of '58, Jayne Mansfield found herself bidding farewell to Paul Mansfield and stepping into the arms of Mickey Haggerty, a bodybuilder famous for clinching the title of Mr. Universe. Their flame flickered out in a Mexican divorce, penned in the dusty corridors of Juarez just 5 years later. As the lawyers clawed over the legitimacy of their Juarez divorce, Jayne's brilliant star dimmed under the shadow of a dwindling career. The luster of leading roles faded, replaced by a string of indie and foreign films. By 1962, Fox, her one-time patron, turned a cold shoulder, ending their contract. Jayne was not done yet. Her career took flight on the wings of scandal, each publicity stunt carefully orchestrated to keep her name dancing in the lips of the public. She invented the wardrobe malfunction with a penchant for exposing just enough to leave them hungry for more. Jayne played the game of fame like a maestro conducting a symphony of seduction. She is widely known as the original social media star. Her career was the blueprint for internet and reality TV stardom. She paid the bills performing at nightclubs across the country. Director Matteo Ottaviano replaced Haggerty, but the marriage soon failed. In her quest for publicity, she joined an infamous San Francisco church. Fading star Jayne sought to reignite her career by joining the Church of Satan, led by the sinister Anton LaVey. Her association with LaVey set off a chain reaction of calamities, including tensions due to a suspected love triangle between her lover Sam Brody and LaVey himself. Jayne continued to walk the tightrope between fame and infamy, with the public eating up her every move in the tabloids. Driven by the jealous desire to possess Mansfield, LaVey cast a ghoulish curse on Sam Brody. He warned Jayne to stay away from Brody, lest she also be doomed by the curse. Jayne scoffed at LaVey's warning, but Lady Luck exacts a toll, and soon Jayne found herself ensnared in a series of tragedies that seemed ripped from the pages of a noir thriller. Auto accidents, stolen jewels, public humiliations. A lion even attacked her child. All this and more befell Jayne with relentless cruelty, leaving her battered and bruised, both physically and emotionally, and looming over it all, like the shadow of some malevolent specter, was the curse cast by lavish, a curse that would ultimately seal the struggling family's fate. On a grim morning in June 1967, Jayne made a fateful decision, ignoring the evidence of the jealous curse from lavish to stay away from Brody. She whisked her wounded lover on a reckless tour of southern light nightclubs, unaware of the tragedy that awaited them both. On a steamy Mississippi night, beneath the buzzing neon glow of Gus Stevens' supper club, Jayne Mansfield played her usual role in the smoky haze of late-night entertainment. Her voice, a sultry whisper, drifted through the air as she charmed the audience with her presence. But when the curtain fell, it was not the end of the night for Jayne. With the promise of a morning television talk show awaiting her in New Orleans, she gathered an exhausted crew of Brody and her children into the darkness of the night. As they traversed the slick highways of Route 90, the air hung heavy with the scent of rain on steamy asphalt. Ahead, a poisonous cloud billowed from a mosquito spraying truck, casting an eerie glow upon the road. Ron Harrison, the young driver, made a fateful decision. Ignoring the flashing lights, he surged past the truck, plunging headlong into the cold steel embrace of a slow-moving freight truck. The impact instantly peeled the roof of the large automobile like a can of sardines. The collision was swift and brutal, tearing metal and flesh alike. Brody and Harrison's lifeless bodies were hurled from the wreckage in an instant. Amidst the chaos, Jayne's children, battered but alive, wailed in agony at the tragedy unfolding around them. As dawn broke over the lonely wreckage, a highway bore witness to the price paid for a fleeting moment of fame, a toll measured in lives lost and futures shattered on the unforgiving asphalt of Route 90. The sole witness, the trucker, rubbed his eyes as if trying to erase the image forever imprinted in his mind. The jagged metal and bloodied bodies strewn across the pavement, the metallic smell of death mixed with gasoline hung still in the air. The blood soaked steaming into the road. It appeared as black as ink in the waning moonlight, and most tragically, amidst the carnage, lay the still body of Jayne. Her once lustrous hair now matted with blood. The man was horrified by the sight of a severed blonde head. It wasn't until later that the truth emerged. The blonde hair he'd seen was one of Jayne's many wigs. This suspected decapitation added to her growing legend, swelling the illusion of horror and revealing a macabre twist of fate. Across the country, Jayne Mansfield's untimely demise sent shockwaves through the hearts of her adoring fans. Yet, amid the mourning and the speculation, whispers of the supernatural began to stir. Anton LaVey, the tireless peddler of the occult, seized upon the tragedy, weaving tales of curses and foreboding warnings unheeded in the dark halls of the Church of Satan. Where shadows danced and secrets swirled in the darkness, he proclaimed Jayne a cautionary tale written in blood. At a ghoulish wake in the halls of the Church of Satan, amber lights flickered in the dimly lit sanctuary. A few mourners saw in them the spectral presence of the faded star. Secretly, it was told that LaVey was distraught by the unwanted consequences of his black oath. He never meant for Jayne to be amongst the victims of his sinister curse. But it was not only in the halls of the Church of Satan that whispers of the supernatural took root. In the private corners of Jayne's world, where memories lingered like ghosts, strange happenings stirred in the air. Linda Mudrick, a steadfast presence in Jayne's life, bore witness to the inexplicable. A young boy, haunted, speaking to someone unseen. Miklos, Jayne's son, wounded in both body and spirit by the tragedy that robbed him of a mother's embrace, found solace in whispered conversations that defied explanation. And the days turned to nights and imaginations flared. Mudrick couldn't shake the feeling that Jayne Mansfield's spirit lingered still, a guardian angel watching over her beloved son from the shadows of the beyond. Mudrick eventually succumbed to fear and departed. The Pink Palace was Jayne Mansfield's opulent mansion in Beverly Hills. Strange occurrences plagued all who entered, and misfortune seemed to loom over the mansion like a dark specter. Matteo Ottaviano, her ill-fated third husband, suffered from a curse that caused his world to crumble under the weight of relentless misfortune. Some claim Jayne's vengeful spirit haunted Ottaviano for his greed. He hired attorneys to lock out any heirs to her ample fortune from receiving their due. For some, she was a vengeful specter, determined to ensure her children received their rightful inheritance, while others saw her as a tragic figure, forever trapped within the confines of her lavish prison. The house was eventually sold, yet amidst the remodeling and plans for the future, a curious rumor took root, a belief that Jayne Mansfield herself still walked the halls of the Pink Palace, her spirit bound by the turmoil that engulfed her estate in the wake of her untimely passing. Tales of hauntings echoed through the walls of the Pink Palace. Plumbers and painters fled in terror from the unseen forces. Even servants found themselves driven away by the ghostly energy that pervaded every corner of the haunted mansion. Ringo Starr of the Beatles purchased the Pink Palace. He soon after sold the haunted mansion to singer Engelbert Humperdinck after mysterious happenings in the night. Humperdinck enlisted the help of a priest to bring peace to Jayne's restless spirit, who is said to have climbed into bed with the British crooner. Her spirit never appeared again after the blessings of the house. The final act of Jayne Mansfield's tragic tale unfolded not in the Hollywood spotlight, but in the flashing lights of police and rescue vehicles. Did she die from a jealous curse, or was it a horrible, horrible accident? Perhaps the blame lay on the cult of personality, not the Church of Satan. It's up to you to decide, dear listener. If you want to hear more tales from Haunted Hollywood, like and subscribe. Leave a comment and tell us what stories you'd like to hear on Haunted Hollywood. Thank you.